Hello everyone, my name is Paranormal Beluga, and welcome to the very first episode of Record of Ragnatalk, a podcast all about Record of Ragnarok, my favorite manga and anime if I'm honest. After only 2 days of waiting when the official chapter dropped in Japan, we have an English translation from Scanlator Over Heaven, so thank you very much to them for their amazing and dedicated hard work. Before this chapter came out, I saw a lot of people talking about how they couldn't wait to find out who the fighters were for round 9, and I was one of the people saying, you will be lucky to even find out one fighter for round 9, because these chapters, the ones that immediately follow the ending to a round, in this case round 8, there's usually 2 to 3 chapters of intermission before the next round starts. I think round 9 might start in June, if not July, simply because this chapter didn't show any of the fighters for round 9. I know a lot of people are predicting Rasputin versus Anubis, Okida versus Loki. I personally hope it's Okida versus Loki. Okida has been sitting on the sideline for a very, very long time. I think ever since round 5. Yeah, just the beginning of round 5. He's been sitting on the sideline in his little TV room with Kondo, which, hey, that's a vibe. And we've of course seen him in round 7, talking with Kojiro Sasaki and Hurst about the techniques that Chin used during round 7, and that's pretty much been his role, other than of course his interaction with Buddha against the 7 lucky gods and Loki by that fountain, which in the manga happened in the middle of round 5, but in season 2 of the anime happened before round 5. Now, a lot of people speculated that because the anime showed much more of the combat, or it showed more combat than was in the manga between Okida and Loki, that Loki and Okida are going to go next in the manga. I don't know if that's necessarily true. I want it to be true, again, because I think that should be round 9. I think that's very interesting. If that is round 9, I do not know who's going to win, because Okida, I just realistically do not see losing. He seems like a favorite from the author, considering that he had his own series by one of, if not the writers of Record of Ragnarok before Record of Ragnarok came out. But Loki has, I feel like, has just been a staple. He's been around since before round 4. I just don't see them killing him off. So, man, I really don't know. If it does come down to Loki versus Okida, I really do not know who will take it. But back to chapter 77, of course, despite this not introducing any of the round 9 fighters, it's a very important chapter. A very, very important chapter, because we officially got introduced to Siegfried. Now, longtime readers of Record of Ragnarok will remember chapter 55, when they first introduced the design for Sakata Kintoki. Of course, we do know from the initial roster that he will be one of the humans fighting for humanity, but we were first introduced to his design and the fact that he appears to be a close friend of Buddha, which is a very interesting revelation and something that I think is very interesting for the character and can sort of, in a way, build hype for the character before we've even seen him fight or seen any of his backstory, because, of course, Buddha is one of the best characters in Record of Ragnarok, and if you come in and you're a buddy of Buddha, that's clout. Like, I don't know how else to put it. I'm sorry for, it's clout. I don't know how else to put it. Like, if you're a friend of Buddha, then, oh my god, yeah, you're kind of a big deal already. So the fact that we have been introduced to Kintoki, and the fact that he's a friend of Buddha, really sort of flexes Kintoki and puts him in a very nice light. Whether he will win his fight, I really don't know. I think it depends who he goes against. I think if he goes against Susanoo, then I think Gintoki has a pretty good chance of taking it. When the name Siegfried dropped, and you could tell it was the big moment in the manga, because they just had like a pure black panel with just a speech bubble, Siegfried. Everyone kind of collectively lost their shit, because Siegfried is the name of a human who was not initially on the roster. It was sort of an introduction to possibly another human fighter that we did not predict, that we did not know was coming. And also, the lore of Siegfried is that him and Brunhild kind of had a thing. They kind of had a thing in mythology. And of course, Record of Ragnarok isn't exactly the most historically accurate manga to ever exist. So, we kind of figured we weren't getting 100% the most, accurate description of that tale when it comes to mythology. However, the importance of the relationship between Brunhild and Siegfried is so important that it would be insane for them not to do something with it, to not include it partially within the manga. And that is what chapter 77 finally, after 22 months, almost 2 years, we have finally gotten an introduction to Siegfried and showed his design. Of course, he's in a prison and he's half naked, so we don't really see any armor or anything like that, but we see that he has long hair, he's cut, he's really good shape, like every other character in Record of Ragnarok. And yeah, that he's around, he's alive. I didn't think he was alive. I figured that he was dead. So that's why Brunhild was starting Ragnarok, to get revenge on the gods. But of course, that is not the case. I was dead wrong. Siegfried is alive. He's being held in a prison, and we find this out when Buddha and Brunhild have their interaction. I believe maybe about 3 or 4 weeks before the new chapter even dropped, we had a leak. I don't know if it was a leak or it was confirmed, but either way, it was true, saying that Buddha and Brunhild would have an interaction in chapter 77. To the extent of it, we didn't know, of course, but we knew somewhat that it was happening. And before that, we got a wonderful interaction between Hermes and Hades. I love Hades? Oh my god. Hermes and Ares. I love Hermes. Hermes is, I think he's my favorite non-combative god. I just like a character that he's just chill and just knows everything. He's just a suave, chill badass. Like, he could, without question, just body practically anybody, but he just doesn't, because he's just, I don't know, it just doesn't interest him. He's just chill, he's just enjoying himself, and I really like that. And they talked about the PPPX move that Tesla attempted to pull off, which was an incredible move in which he amputated, I believe, his right arm or his right fist to attack Beelzebub from behind, and he would use his left hand to attack Beelzebub from the front for an undodgeable attack. Of course, that didn't work, and Nikola Tesla lost, but it was still very interesting, and it's fun to see. They use, it looks like a wooden dummy, like an art project dummy that people use for poses, and they use that to sort of demonstrate, this is what he was attempting, this is XYZ. I thought that was really fun. I thought it was a very interesting way to go about it. I love these pre-fight analysis, whatever, by Hermes and Ares' reaction, and Zeus being relatively impressed. I think over time, especially since round 2 with Adam, Zeus fully understands, wow, humanity really is a credible threat, I mean, of course, Lu Bu made himself known, but Adam Adam really set the scene, and I think making that round 2 was an absolutely genius idea. Round 1 really just introduced, saying, hey, humanity does have a chance, but round 2 with Adam really set the scene. And we see one of the best scenes in this chapter. All the scientists, even though Nikola Tesla lost, they were like, you know what? Tesla wouldn't want us to be down. He would want us to keep going and advance technology to the future. And they all leave. Galileo, Marie Curie, Thomas Edison, Alfred Nobel, Albert Einstein. They all they leave the stage, and they're like, you know what? Like, let's keep working on science. That's what Tesla would have wanted. That's what everyone would have wanted. Man, such a powerful moment, and shows that even in death, characters can still have an impact. Even in death, characters in this manga are incredible. Even in death, Nikola Tesla is, I think, one of the best human fighters. I think what really sold me on Nikola Tesla was the fact that while he was dying, he was like, hey, it is what it is. But Ragnarok's not going to happen. Like, humanity will persevere. Just really, honestly, inspirational from Nikola Tesla. Just an incredible scene of him just kind of saying F you to the gods, despite dying to his very last breath, up until he completely evaporated with Gundal. Gundal, I believe, is... I might have said that wrong, but up until he completely evaporated, he was like, Ragnarok will never come. Like, even though I lost, I know humanity will persevere, because that's what humanity does. And maybe the most impressive and inspirational thing since Adam said, why does a father doesn't need an excuse to protect his children. Just an incredible moment. And although I don't think we'll see these scientists ever again in the manga, it's cool to see them just have their moment. And it's cool to see that Tesla, in his death, left an impact on them as much as it did the readers. So when Brunhild goes to her chamber, it is shown that she has essentially a holographic room. Now we know she had like sort of a candle visual room, with where she lit Hercules's his candle sort of in honor of him, despite him being a god. She has a candle room for all of the humans, but now we found out she has sort of a holographic room for even the gods, even Poseidon and Hercules and Zero and Hades. They're all there, along with the humans. So it just goes to show that Brunhild has a lot of respect for the gods, even given the circumstances of her wanting to kill them. And of course, in the time of mourning, Buddha comes in, rocking an eye patch, which, fantastic detail. Buddha had the rabbit on his shirt had an eye patch. But now that he has an eye patch, the rabbit on his shirt does not. Just a little tiny thing that I think is really clever and I like a lot. Buddha comes in, he's like, you're always crying. Like, it's, like, I didn't think you would do that. Like, it's, like, I didn't think you'd be so sentimental. And Brunhild scolds him, being like, why are you in my room? Why are you taking a nap? Kind of in the same way that she did Nostradamus when he showed up wearing her clothes, which, very strange from Nostradamus. Don't know why he did that. But then Buddha just straight up asked Brunhild, like, hey, like, is this about your ex-boyfriend, Siegfried? Like, what's going on? And Brunhild absolutely just drops an insane lore bombshell. She says, and maybe this is just this translation, but she says, like, Siegfried is not my ex-boyfriend. Like, meaning, at least the way that I interpreted it, either A, they're married, or B, he is her current boyfriend. which, man, Buddha Brunhild shippers, I'm sorry. Sorry, it's over. It's in the dirt. It's done. It's not happening. Then we are transported to showing where Siegfried is being held. He is in the underworld prison. Different from Helheim, I believe, where Nostradamus was, since Nostradamus was the only human to be introduced as... He was shown to be the only human to be sent to Helheim for destroying the Bifrost, just because he wanted to see what would happen. And we're introduced to two minor characters. The 64th demon of the 72 demons of Solomon, Flauros, I apologize if I pronounced that wrong, and the 63rd demon of the 72 demons of Solomon, Andros, which is really interesting to see King Solomon's sort of mythology come in and show his, show his interest in demonology being played out. King Solomon of Israel, a real human. Kind of interesting to see that. I don't know if we'll ever be introduced to King Solomon in this series. I think it'd be interesting if we were, but it is what it is. And Siegfried seems to be very well aware that Ragnarok is happening, despite being in this prison. He seems to be he seems to know that this is happening, because when he finds out that it's back to a tie, that it's 4-4 after round 8 and Beelzebub's victory, he's like, whoa, it's a tie. That's crazy. And he then says that he's half human, half god. He is a demigod. Again, a major change. I did a little research on Siegfried and Brunhild after the information dropped. But, like I said, Ragnarok changes things around for the interest of... I'm messing with the clip, and I broke it. So that's what that tick sound was. Sorry. Ragnarok has a habit of changing historical accuracy and the mythology for the sake of storytelling, which, some days I love, some days I'm iffy on, but I think overall I don't mind too much. It's historical fiction. I don't think anyone's reading Record of Ragnarok expecting a history lesson. But yeah, Siegfried announces that he's half human, half god, that he's a demigod, similar to Hercules, which is crazy, which is insane to me, because, as I mentioned, I did some research, and I don't think anything about, from what I gathered, Siegfried was just a dude. He was a normal guy, which is totally fine. And I believe the guards ask him, hey, you're half god, you're half human, who are you rooting for? Similar to the dilemma, that's the word I'm looking for, similar to the dilemma that Hercules faced when he was asked by Loki, this is really weird, you used to be human, you're half human, half god, it's kind of weird to see you do this, and Hercules was like, hey, it's my duty to win, so I will win. He didn't, but, he did his best. He almost did, but Jack the Ripper was too clever for him. And interestingly enough, Siegfried doesn't know how to answer. He doesn't know how to answer the question of who are you rooting for? And before he can give an answer, the guards are like, wait, we can't be talking to you. And Siegfried is upset because he's in prison. He's been there for, I'd imagine, a very, very long time, and he's bored. So the guards leave, talking about how, we can't talk to you. And Siegfried's like, come on, man, let's shoot the breeze. Come on, let's talk about it. And they leave him. And then after that, we are introduced officially. He gets his own title card, Siegfried, Norse. And he seems to be aware that Brunhild is fighting for him. So we are introduced to Siegfried officially. No information on round 9 other than obviously it is the next round. But this was all about Siegfried and a little bit about Tesla, just sort of wrapping up round 8 with a nice little bow and introducing Siegfried officially, pretty much over 20 chapters after his name was dropped by Buddha. I don't know if Kentoki found him, because Buddha had instructed Kentoki to find Siegfried, or find information about Siegfried. We didn't see Kentoki at all in this chapter. Which, hey, maybe he's doing his own research, maybe he's doing his own thing, but just a strange little thing that I noticed. And he seems to notice that Brunhild is fighting for him and is looking after him. If I'm honest, I don't expect any more developments with this Siegfried storyline until at least round 9 is over, for at least another year. Because think about it, it took about a year after the name Siegfried dropped to see Siegfried. And now we see that Siegfried is here, and we're probably not going to hear about him. We're probably not going to hear about him at all. And a lot of people are saying he will fight for humanity, which I don't know. Wouldn't it be a crazy twist if he fought for the gods? Wouldn't that be insane? I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm not going to put money on it. I'm not going to bet. But, man, it would certainly be interesting to see, especially after everything Brunhild did for him. I don't think he's going to do that. But wouldn't that be a twist? But then again, just because something is a twist doesn't mean it's good. At this point, I'm just rambling, so I'll end it here. Thank you for listening to the very first episode of Record of Ragnarok. Record of Ragnatalk, sorry. Working on that pun. Record of Ragnatalk. I'm Paranormal Beluga. That was chapter 77. I can't wait till chapter 78. I hope we find out that it's Okida and Loki. But, of course, we will have to wait and see. Alright, thank you.